Okay, so we're back with another video, and this video is going to be about why spirituality actually matters. You know, I know a lot of people get into spirituality because they make it a trend, or they feel like it's trendy. It's something that it just seemed cool and seemed fun and all that type of whatever you want to call it. But truth of the matter is, like, it's not a trend, and it's not even really something that you actually do, you know. But from my perspective, I feel like spirituality really matters. And I don't really even like to just label it as like in a category like spirituality or whatever. But these days, you got to categorize things or whatever so people can actually understand it. But my perspective and why spirituality matters is because outside of the most well-known thing that most humans, most people know of, being religion, spirituality is the only thing that actually leads you to true enlightenment and true evolution, you know, to truly evolve. Being contained in a organization, or especially a religion, you can't go but so far. And reason being because there's so many restrictions, so most people will solely depend upon the one main source of whatever that organization or religion is. So, so if you're a Christian, I like using this for an example because it's more simple and easy and most people understand it. If you're a Christian, then you're going to depend and believe more on your pastor and also on the Bible. That's it. Most Christians won't go beyond their pastor and they won't go beyond the Bible, and there's way more to it. Like, it's way more to it. The Bible is not the only book on this planet. Like, it was plenty of information and things like that written in scrolls on pyramids, inside of the pyramids, and things like that predates, the Bible that we know of. So that alone lets you know truth always been here. But your way of finding truth, the true way, from my perspective, is spirituality, is being spiritual. To me, I associate spirituality with freedom. I associate it with freedom because you're not restricted to anything. I always say you still have to use common sense. But as far as somebody telling you what you can and cannot do, true spirituality is no such thing, you know. But it all depends on what you're doing and how you're doing it. Now, if you're following a specific spiritual practice and you're in a specific spiritual tradition, then yes, it's things that you can and cannot do and that you should and should not do. And there's reasons why. Like, it's reasons why. Everybody is different. Not each individual is the same. So, but it'll always be something, you know, more than likely to be something for your greatest good, not nothing to harm you. So, but from my experience, I was in religion when I was around, I remember when I was around about 13 years old, and I questioned so much about religion. I questioned so much about it. And my peers, the elders around me, even pastors that I asked questions to at that young of an age, they all tell me, they all told me, you're never supposed to question God. You're never supposed to question the Bible. You're never supposed to question your religion. Me being so young, I didn't know no better, but at the same time, I still felt like something wasn't right. And I felt like I was being forced to believe in something that nobody even really had no answers to. And I understand that you may not have the answers to everything, but yet alone, I wasn't progressing. I wasn't evolving. Like, the years that came after that, like, along my growth, like, I wasn't evolving in none of that in religion, you know. Yet alone, the questions that I had, about the Bible specifically, uh, they all went unanswered, you know. And if it was an answer, it was something that still didn't make sense. Like, I asked questions like, how come in the Bible it was okay to rape a woman if you marry her or whatever it is, or it's okay to take another man's wife and rape her and have sex with her as long as you pay something, whatever it is. You could do your own research on it. Don't sit here and even think I'm gonna give you the exact verse and word for word what the quote is. I just gave you a glimpse of what it is, but I'm not about to sit here and try to be all perfect and tell you exactly what verse it is, tell you exactly what it is word for word. I ain't about to do that. I'm telling you somewhat of what I know it says. You can go and pick it up yourself or Google it, however you want to do it, and research and learn more about exactly what it's saying. So don't just follow me thinking I don't know what I'm talking about just because I don't know it word for word. I don't even care to know it word for word. But it's just that little part of it is enough for me to realize like something ain't right. So, but yeah, just going forward past that, it's just a lot of things like that I didn't agree with at that young of an age. And as I got older, more questions I had and things like that, and still no answers, still no type of something just didn't feel right. I really felt like I had like chains on my mental. Like I really felt like that. I didn't feel no type of freedom. I didn't feel no type of liberation. Like the way I felt, I can remember it. So that's how I understood that religion really has a spell on individuals. Most people don't see it as that, but that's really what it is. But me actually finding my way, I started studying a lot of different other religions. That's how it started. I started studying a lot of other religions. Islam, studied more into Islam, things like that. Uh, and I liked it because it was different. I related to it a little better, but at the end of the day, the concept still was pretty much the same. Like it was still a religion at the end of the day. It was still a lot of rules and regulations, a lot of restrictions. And me personally, I don't feel like you should have to go through all these rules and regulations and restrictions in order to talk to God or in order to connect with source, I like to say. But to each his own. I'm not saying that, so anybody feels some type of way, which they gonna feel some type of way anyway. But religion is not for everybody. It's really not. And me personally, I'm speaking on spirituality. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm not somebody who woke up and just decided, okay, I want to be spiritual. I want to do this and do that, and I'm doing it for clout or whatever. I never cared. I really never cared to be on the internet or none of that. I never cared. I really did. But what I learned along my years is so many people who are just now awakening, so many people who are just coming into consciousness, and they have a lot of questions. And you'll find so many people that's just like you. They going through certain things that you will realize that you went through before and things like that. So I met so many individuals who went through certain things that I went through in my awakening stage, you know, and things like that. So it became a time where I had to understand that I have to get on the internet. Like, I have to reach more people than just the people that's around me, and it's the people that's like comes to me locally and things like that. It's more people who need to get the message and things like that. So I had to realize that, and it took me a while. It took me a while or whatever, but I get it. Yeah, I definitely get it though. So but um, I ain't even trying to get off topic, but when I get to talking, man, I just get to going with the flow. Spirit get to flowing, I get to going. So, you know, But yeah, so I feel like spirituality really matters because it's the true path to self-liberation. It's the true path to self-mastery. It's the true path to enlightenment. Why? One, because nobody is there to hold your hand. You have to actually depend on yourself. You say you believe in source, you have to prove it. You don't have no middleman. Ain't no pastor, ain't no Jesus, ain't no none of that. You have to believe in yourself and believe that it's source and believe whatever it is that whatever you set your foundation to be. You have to believe in that. Like nobody can do it for you. You know, nobody can do that for you. And ultimately that brings on different experiences. And within those experiences, you actually grow and evolve. Why? Because you go through certain trials, certain errors, certain things, and you learn like that. You know, another reason why spirituality matters also is because from my experience, it was the first way I actually found peace. It's the first place I actually found like myself, and I literally, like really, I felt mentally free. I feel mentally free. I feel spiritually free, and I know that I am. And I can't speak the same or say the same for religion because I didn't feel like that. I wasn't, and just looking at a lot of others who are in religion, you can just tell they not either. But it's a lot though. There's much more also that comes with being spiritual, being a spiritual individual. And let me say this: being a spiritual individual, it doesn't mean you can't listen to certain music. It doesn't mean you can't use profanity. It doesn't mean you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't do certain things. Like it doesn't mean you can't eat meat. All that shit is just a fad. Like all that is just a trend. Like that's being spiritual is not no manual that comes with it. There's no manual. Like whatever works for you. I know plenty individuals who are deeply spiritual and they smoke weed. They smoke. There's nothing wrong with that. I know some spiritual individuals and they drink a little. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're doing any of those things and it's not getting you no positive results, you're using it for recreational uses and it's not benefiting you, then no, you don't need to be doing that. If you're drinking and smoking and you acting crazy, then no, you don't need to be doing that. But if you're somebody that's level-headed and you can control your alcohol intake, you can control whenever you smoke, things like that. And if it's helping you, there's nothing wrong with it. It all depends. To each his own. Because what I learned, even if you smoke, starting off, the longer you get down on the journey, you may not be smoking that. Like you may not be smoking no more. Because certain things, in order for you to evolve, you will have to like cut out a lot of things. So it just all depends. It all depends. But I say this because it's not everybody. It's not the same exact thing. It's not the same thing for everyone. Just because one spiritual person, so to speak, doesn't eat meat, doesn't mean all spiritual people doesn't have to eat meat. Like that's not the case. And yes, it is said that eating meat, especially certain meats, they can lower your vibration, and that is true. But it was plenty of times where I used to eat meat, I used to eat chicken, and I still had a lot of good spiritual experiences and things like that, stuff like that or whatever. But it got to a certain point in time where I stopped eating it. But so I just say that to say, just to get that out. And then also another thing too with being spiritual, you don't necessarily have to dress like you from Africa. You don't have to dress like that. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with you dressing like that. But just to let you know, that's not uh or how you want to say it. It's not something that it's mandatory to do. You don't have to do that, bro. You do not have to do it. But if it makes you feel good, then okay. But being spiritual isn't about the ego. It's about the true self, your true identity. So you'll find a lot of people who claim that they're spiritual, and you'll see they might overdo it. 10 dashikis. Just instead of saying I understand, it's I overstand this and that, blah blah. They got all the lingo. All the lingo. There's nothing wrong with you saying it. You want to say it, there's nothing wrong with it. But I just have to be the one to put it out there so individuals know. Man, just because you don't know certain words other people is saying that's spiritual, just because you don't know the words that they're saying, things like that, man, it doesn't make you less spiritual than them. Just because they know how to say overstand, that shit do not make you no less than them. Just because they don't eat meat, that does not make you less than them. Just because they wear whatever African clothes and dress from head to toe like somebody from another planet, it doesn't matter. It does not make them better than you. It does not make you less than them, And I have to put that out there because, and I say this to not even throw shade at anyone who's out there dressing like that or speaking like that. Like I said, to each his own. It's not to throw shots at anyone, but I've met a lot of individuals who have an issue with that or have had an issue with that. They met individuals and then they said, well, I heard that, I can't, you're not supposed to say this or say that. You're not supposed to talk like this or talk like that. You're not supposed to dress like this or dress like that. Like, that shit is not true. And I have to put that out there so people know, like, that shit is not true. True spirituality doesn't fall underneath no banner of no type of trend. That ain't it. It's not that. But granted, when the individual gets into consciousness and they started finding their freedom and things like that, I mean, they want to really express it in whatever ways that they feel the need to. So, of course, a lot of individuals are going to dress up with a lot of African regalia, a lot of African attire, things like that. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. But I have to be the one to say it, that everybody does not have to dress like that. Everybody does not have to dress a specific way in order for them to be spiritual. There's no dress code. Don't dress like a bum. Don't look like a crackhead. But, I just say that to say, like, it's no dress code. It's not. You can have a suit on and you still spiritual. You can have on regular clothes, urban streetwear, whatever it is, and you still spiritual. Your outfit doesn't make you. It's your spirit. Like, it's your soul. It's the heart. It's that. It's not your clothes. It's not your clothes. I just have to put that out there. Because surprisingly, for many years, it's been a lot of individuals who I've came in contact with, like I said, who've had those issues, like, well, certain people, they probably got into it with someone or someone that they looked up to, or either someone that was around them who was spiritual probably was dressing a specific way or eating a specific way or whatever, and they came into their they become mosquito bit me, but anyway, they ended up going through a spiritual awakening, and they went to those individuals for guidance or whatever, and those individuals probably talked down on them or whatever it is because they still eat meat, eating certain things, dress in a certain way or whatever, and things like that. And and they feel like they're not spiritual because the individual told them they're not dressing like a specific way, they're not talking like a specific way, they're not eating like a specific way. And I had to be the one to tell them, man, that shit ain't true. Ain't no such thing. Because if that's the case, go tell whoever it is they need to go get one of them robes from back in the days that niggas said Jesus had on, and get the sandals and all, get the whole outfit. Go ahead and get the whole outfit. I'm pretty sure back then, at some point in time, people were spiritual and they was out here with their ass out. I mean, they ain't had no clothes. They ain't had no clothes, bro. You feel me? So there ain't really no dress code, man. Don't be out here with your ass out, though. Don't do that. Don't be out here with your ass out. You know, I was just hypothetically speaking. But, you know, man, so it's just, yeah, don't get caught up in the hype, man. Don't get caught up in the hype. You know, it's always easier and better and more efficient to be yourself. Be yourself. The things that you have to change are the things that are not for your greatest good. The things that's not helping you progress in life. Those are the things that you need to change. But you don't have to change anything because somebody wants you to change. You gotta want to change whatever it is for yourself. You know, it has to be that way. Not because somebody say this or somebody say that. But yeah, so you know, I'm gonna do another video, because if we really want to get on why spirituality matters, we can go on. We can make a whole 24-hour video just about that. It's so many reasons why, but I just gave a few, and that few really is enough. You know, alongside with other things I spoke on. But yeah, so if you one of the ones who come across my video, and especially if it's the path that you on, or the path that you find yourself keep being led to, then you know, I hope this video helped you out a lot, that you learn some things, and you keep that inspiration and keep that belief and truth in self. Like I always like to say, until ultimately you learn to know that self. Always remember, believing and knowing is two different things. Your goal is to know. So peace.